So are you gonna die today or make it out alive? You gotta conquer the monster in your head and then
What's up, guys? Hope you guys are having a good day today. Alright, so I'm gonna start off with a nice, simple question. Does this sound like you? Go to the gym for about 2 weeks. Start eating healthier for about 2 weeks. Stick with your fasting regimen for about 2 weeks. You know, feel good, everything's good. Everything's going great, you feel good. And then week 3 comes, right? And you're stressed as fuck, and you fall right back into your bad habits. Does that sound like you? I know in my earlier journey, it was me. So, in today's video, I'm going to be telling you why willpower doesn't last forever. And before I even get started on this video, if you guys keep seeing me like shift down that way and I keep moving too much, it's because like my floor is like on a thing, so, and I thought I would shoot in a different area because I like this area a little bit better. But anyways, in today's video, I'm going to be telling you guys why willpower doesn't last forever. So, did that story sound pretty like familiar to you guys when you guys try everything and you guys think you're doing everything right and you guys feel like you're like, I put in the work for 2 weeks, why do I not feel any results? And this is really why willpower doesn't last forever, at least for 95%. So, I'm going to leave that in the video because my face was honestly fucking priceless when my dog started barking. I'm going to leave that in the video. I thought it was good. Anyways, what I'm saying is there are 95% of people who really can't stick with willpower, right? So, if that story really related to you, you need to really watch this video. And what I'm getting at is when you do so much things at once, right? And you feel like you're doing good and you're wondering when the benefits are actually going to start kicking in. First of all, you need to stop looking for the benefits and stop waiting for the feeling of contentment and happiness and pride when you first start like a new exercise regimen, eating better. Don't wait for all those things. Just keep doing them. But what I'm getting at is don't do too much at once. So you might be saying, why? I want to change my life so quick, so drastically. When you do too much at once, us as like humans, right, we really tend to get burned out, stressed out. So if that story resonated with you with those 2 weeks, with doing all those things you started at once, right, you will burn yourself out and you're going to say, you know, I don't even fucking want to do this anyways. And then you go into a snowball effect of, wow, I really hate myself. Why can't I stick with this weight loss journey? Why can't I stick with my dieting? And you start having all like this self-doubt and you start questioning yourself even after the 3rd week. You're just like, is this even worth it? Why am I even doing this? How will this actually even benefit me? So when you're asking yourself these questions and you have the fear of doubt creeping into your mind, just always remember that you're doing this for your highest purpose. So what is an easier way to implement willpower, or as I should say, an everyday habit into your life? See, that's the first misconception about willpower. You have to work at it daily. So if you find yourself saying something like this, why isn't willpower working for me? Say something like this. This is a lifestyle choice to become my greatest self possible, and I am choosing prosperity over failure. When you change this radical shift into your brain, into your subconscious mind, right, you will start to attract better into your life. And I promise this will happen. Like, start seeing yourself as the good food that you want to eat. Start seeing yourself as the fitness model you want to be. Or start seeing yourself as the person who has the abs, the nice body, or just trying to get fit, or just trying to get that raise at your job. Start seeing yourself as the person who's already achieving these things, because you start to actually attract these things into your life. So stop viewing willpower as something that we need and we need to have it just to always achieve what we want to achieve. That's not true. When you work at one thing every single day, whether it be no fap, your diet, or cold showers, and I just seen some like ghosting over there, whether it be any of those, like, bro, just work at it one day at a time, right? So I have this thing where I start a new habit, right? It takes 21 days to implement a habit into your life, and then it takes 90 days for it to become a lifestyle. So what I like to do is do one thing for 90 days, whether this be no fap, whether this be cold showers, whether this be, cooking more in my house or whatever. You have to start doing this thing one at a time, because you're gonna go into what they call burnout. And what you're gonna want to not do is go into burnout, because it basically turns you off from actually ever improving in your life, and it's a shitty feeling, because then you start feeling like you start feeling guilt, and you start feeling ashamed of yourself. You're like, why can't I do this? Why am I not succeeding in my life? And you ask yourself all these questions, and then the fear of doubt comes back. So what you're gonna want to do is do one thing at a time. I promise you guys, if you work at one thing at a time, your life will radically shift so powerfully, where to the point where you won't even recognize yourself in a year. Because just think of it. What's 90 times 5? I think it's like, and you feel 45. Don't criticize me. I'm on the camera, but I think it's like 45. So just think of how different you can be in 450 days when you have 9 new habitual habits in your life. Like, that's only 1 year, and you have like 9 new great things in your life. So do one thing every 90 days and attack that one thing every 90 days. So, what is reason number 2 why willpower doesn't last forever? And this is something I can't stress enough. Your why isn't strong enough, and you just simply don't want to change. I know countless amount of people who have so much potential, and they just simply don't want to change, and they just don't know their why. And these things aren't bad. I wouldn't say knowing your why isn't too bad, but not wanting to change, that's horrible. If you know that like you're a shitty person, or you know that like your habits aren't exactly the greatest, and like you're aware of these things and you want to change but you just really don't give a fuck, bro, what the fuck are you doing? Change. You could have the world in your fucking hands. So, like, where does this really come from? Where does this stem from? And in my personal experience, this isn't like anything I found off online. This is my personal experience. When these two things, like not knowing your why and not wanting to change, when these things creep in, it happens because one of two reasons. You feel lost in your life, which is not a bad thing. That's really not a bad thing. And the second reason is that something traumatic happened to you, and that's not a bad thing either. So when you address these things one thing at a time, you start really breaking them down. Like, okay, what has happened in my life? Why am I like this? You start asking yourself these questions, and then slowly but surely your will starts to come back. Your strength, your power, your fire starts to come back, because you're no longer being discouraged. You're starting to address the problem at hand. So when you're feeling discouraged and down and out, like you just go back into bad habits. And I'm gonna give you a little bit of my own story. When I had my concussion, right, I was like on day 600 of NoFap, right? I got my concussion. I started jerking off. I started watching porn again. I started objectifying females, and that's horrible. Why the fuck would I do that? Why someone like me who wants to help people? But this was like a year and a half ago, so please don't fucking scold me. Anyways, like, I started doing all these bad habits. I started eating like shit. I started eating a lot of bread. I just wasn't right, and I just didn't feel good. So what I'm saying is, when you start to actually like sit with yourself and realize what has happened in your life, whether it be discouragement, trauma, or you're just straight up fucking lazy and you don't want to change, and nothing has ever happened to you, whatever is your situation, man, you gotta really sit with yourself and say, this is not how I want to be no more. It's time to make a change. And it goes back to what I said in the first one. In the first tip, do one thing at a time. Whether this be eat inner work, meditate, breathing really deep, starting to learn compassion, love, and joy. This one's a little different than the first one because that's more physical. I'm going a little bit more in right now. So just sit with yourself, right? And ask yourself these questions. What is actually wrong with me? Why can't I actually stick to this plan that I want to stick to? Why do I always feel like I'm a failure? I've had these questions before. And like, trust me guys, it goes away. It will go away when you actually start living out your why. And you might be asking, how do you find your why, right? The only way to find your why is to do something that you love. And if you don't know what you love, you haven't found it yet. And the only way to find it is to go within. That's the only way you can ever find your why. So, you have a little bit of work to do. So, how do you bounce back from all like this traumatic stuff and all this discouragement in your life? Right? Know that willpower may not last forever, but your soul will always live forever. Your reason for being on this earth is because you want to achieve your highest level possible. And I can't really stress this enough, because everybody is a spiritual being having a temporary human experience, but everybody thinks that they're just this body mind experience, and we're not just that. So you came here for a reason. Live out your purpose, bro. How do you bounce back on the second way? Know that willpower is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. Whether this be through periodically fasting, actually sticking with one thing, or just straight up saying, alright, it's time to fucking change. I don't like who I am. It will get stronger. Your will get stronger. That solar plexus will start opening up. Start fire. Ready to attack the day. No matter what, your will always be there. And it's like a muscle. And the only way it can get stronger is if you use it. So now, another question you actually may have is, what is the best possible way to get things done? Whether it's the gym, dieting, breaking out of your comfort zone, and these are all good questions, right? So my first tip that I have for you guys is to work on whatever you're trying to achieve daily. Whether, like I said, whether it be the gym, diet, exercise, work on it daily. You will get massive results. Like, there's no boundaries to what you can do. If you put intention into every day, into the little goals, you will skyrocket and you will start to. What is tip number 2? Don't see willpower as a punishment. Don't see willpower as a punishment. See it as like a way of actually loving yourself, a way of caring for yourself. You start feeling better. So don't see it as a punishment, because I know a lot of people who think of willpower as punishment and not being disciplined as punishment. And it's really not even like that. If you love yourself, you will make this happen. You will make this happen, and you will become your best version possible. If you love yourself, though. Tip number 3 is to be patient. You cannot lose 50 pounds overnight. It's impossible, right? And you may even fail NoFap 100 times before you actually just get that one breakthrough, right? Where you just like, I'm fucking sick of this. I can't do this no more. Guys, stick with it. And just be patient. And I promise you, your will come back. Your strength will come back. And just look at it as a daily improvement every single day. So that's really all I got for this video. And I'll see you guys in the next time. Peace.